And we're doing something that we don't normally do on this channel. We're doing scientific testing. That's right, you saw the title of this video. Basically, I want to test all of the different codecs in different situations. But before we do, can you even tell the difference? Like, do you know what I'm shooting this in? I bet you don't. If you have any guesses, list it down in the comments below. So we're gonna set up a shot, something that not only looks good, but also gives us a different look, whether we're going for detail, whether we're going for low light, or whether we're going for it in the studio. So we're gonna have 3 different looks, and then we're gonna go through each codec and maybe do some side-by-sides, we'll see, but we'll see if you can actually tell the difference, because something tells me anything other than the H.264 8-bit codec, you're not gonna know. Like, you're not gonna know the difference.
I'm gonna be in earshot just for a second. Check this out.
This is the ProRes RAW. This is 4K in M-Log. Everything else is the same. All right, this is the R3D NE in 6K, and I'll tell you right off the bat. All right, this is the R3D NE in the 4K. Strangely enough, nope. I really wish I had focus peaking in RAW, but I don't, and that kind of sucks. Nikon, let's get on that. Anyway, speaking of the R3D NE, I was very much under the impression that as soon as you switched resolutions from 6K to 4K, it would window in, because that's how the R3D codec has always worked. It didn't. When I went from 6K to 4K in 23 frames a second, 24 frames a second, it did not window in, which is very strange. I'm wondering if it only happens at 120. That would be pretty big. So here is the new sling in the new Coyote colorway, which I love. Let me just say, this little pull tab is ingenious. Got a DJI Mic 3. I actually really like this mic. The mic that goes on the Nikon, that's got the tally light and everything. It's a pretty good mic so far. I gotta test it more. My favorite lens, my Leica Summilux 50mm black chrome, mini tripod, a David bar, yeah, extra battery, pocket knife, multi-tool, this extra CF Express Type B card, Angel Bird. But all of my cards are Angel Bird right now. I've had really good luck with them, so I'm gonna stick with them. For an awesome bag, got a nice little grab handle, luggage pass-through right here. Yeah, it's solid. Thanks, Nomadic. This thing's awesome. Man, I'm shooting at like f8 right now. I'm gonna head back to the studio, do some controlled light comparisons, because everything will look better in the studio when you can shape and control the light. And then we'll do a low light at 6400, and we'll see what it looks like when you push the ISO pretty high. I will say this morning I tested the 6400 in R3D, pretty damn clean.
All right, before we get started, I kind of want to walk you through my thought process behind doing these comparisons. First of all, I'm not a huge fan of doing these things. My brain does not work in this type of way. It's really hard for me to do a comparison and make sense of it. Two, I kind of feel like the comparison is almost moot if you can't make it a really scientific comparison. Meaning, can you control all of the controls and only have one variable? And in this situation, no, you can't really. That being said, I did the best I could. I did have to make one big concession though, and I will say somebody else is going to have to do this comparison. I use Final Cut Pro. That's the editor I am very proficient in. Because of this, I can't look at NRAW files as they are natively. Now I could transcode them, but you ultimately end up losing a little bit of detail. It's probably negligible, but somebody will, pitch a fit about it. So I decided to leave NRAW completely out of this test. That being said, I still took I did all of the tests using NRAW, and I will talk about how you can have access to those files at the end of the video. So I predominantly used the codecs that had a 6K resolution. In the first test, I did do every codec, both in 4K and 6K if it were offered. The H.264 is an 8-bit and it's only 1080p. In all the other tests, it's just the 6K versions, and I left out the H.265 8-bit. And I did that simply to make my life a little bit easier. This, again, is not the stuff that works for my brain. I have a tough time of doing this stuff, but I wanted to do it for you guys, and I wanted to do the best I could, and the best I could meant I needed to kind of slim things down. Now, as far as coloring everything goes, there is no grade applied to anything. Everything is in its log form. If it could be, the H.264 8-bit cannot be. It's just a picture profile, and that's Nikon's standard picture profile. How did we come to the color that we used? In Final Cut Pro, in the information, if you go to Camera LUT, you just scroll down, click on Nikon N-Log, and that converts it to 709. So that Nikon N-Log, the preset that's already in Final Cut Pro, was applied to everything. This is not the best way of going about it, but this is the most standardized way I could do it. here are my final thoughts. One, I don't really see the value in comparisons like these because there is a lot of nuance to these files. And after YouTube has its way with them, you really can't see the differences that much. You can't see those nuances. And it's for this reason that I'm doing and offering two new things. One is a new Discord, free and open to the public. Two is a Patreon page. And through that Patreon page, you can get access to all of the raw files. Not just to the Nikon ZR, but to previous cameras that I've shot in the past that's both for photo and video, and everything coming in the future. And the reason I did this is because I wanted to give you the ability to see all of these nuances, but not have to go through the extremely pricey process of renting out that camera or that lens. So for a fraction of what that would cost, you can have access to these comparisons and comparisons moving forward and kind of see for yourself what the quality is like. And if you don't want to pay, no worries, you still get access to this comparison here on YouTube. For me, two things stood out because nobody has mentioned them. One, there is a 422 10-bit in ProRes on this camera. So a lot of people were complaining that there wasn't a 422 10-bit, but maybe Nikon added it along the line. I'm not sure when, but yes, ProRes 422 10-bit and both 4K and 6K. That is in the camera. That's huge. The second thing is something that really caught me off guard is traditionally when you shoot with a RED camera, anytime you change resolutions, you're going to change the crop. If you're starting in 6K on the KX and you go down to 4K, you're going to crop in. If you start on, like, let's say my Monstro at 8K and you go down to 6K, you're going to crop in. However, on this camera, that's not really the case. If you start in 6K and you go to 4K, there's no crop. The only time you get a crop in the R3D NE files is if you go to 4K 120. But 4K 60, there's no crop. 4K 24 frames a second, there's no crop. So if you wanted to save space on a card and save that data rate and you're okay shooting 4K, you can, and you're not really, you're not really sacrificing anything other than the resolution. In this video, we really looked at how good is the Nikon ZR. It's kind of hard to assess that until we ask how good is the Nikon ZR versus. And that versus is coming in the next video. Thanks again for watching. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.